Hi folks, Dave, the Honest Audiophile. This is the Dethonray Clarinet, and these are my Honest Audiophile impressions. I want to thank Dethonray for providing the clarinet for a review. To greatly appreciate it. Dethonray, you rock. Alright, so the Dethonray Clarinet. This will set you back $225 from your bank account. It is a portable DAC amp. The Dethonray Clarinet comes in this little black box. You get some branding on the front side, and it says an expedition in pursuit of supreme audio experience. The inside is just full of foam to hold all that they include, so it's not really anything too exciting to show. So the things that you get the Dethonray Clarinet, you get a carrying case, or protective case. It's a very nice hard shell. You get a little cutout so the icon will show through, and it's going to protect your clarinet very nicely. It has all the cutouts that you need for your outputs and inputs. And then you get a coaxial adapter and a fiber optic adapter, and then a very short right angle USB-C to USB-C cable. And I like the cable a lot. I found that the cable was a little unique, but you're able to adjust to whatever way you needed it to be angled. Because of that angle, it kind of made it nice in that regard. Like the cable, well built. The clarinet, very nicely looking. You get this kind of slate color aluminum. Get a logo here on top. Purple volume knob power button. Clicks when you turn it on. And then when you turn it on, you get some flashing lights in the back. And also in the front if you have an input connected. Also on the front, along with the volume, you have your headphone outputs, 3.5, 4.4. And then your connector for your optical or your fiber optical or coaxial, excuse me. And then on the back side, you have two USB-C inputs. The one with the little USB logo is for data transfer. The other one here is for charging. And yes, you can use them at the same time. And then you have a high-low gain switch. Overall, it's a very well-built device. I really do like the build and the feel of it. Without the case, it's very, very small. Roughly weighs 162 grams. Extremely small and very lightweight. Just in comparison, we have the SMSL DS20. Size-wise, the Dethonray with its volume knob is the same height as the DS20, and the DS20 is wider. They are also slightly thinner. The SMSL is a little bit thicker. Putting the little case on, you just slide it in place. The little logo comes through the hole. You have plenty of room for all your cables, and you can still hit the gain switch. And then in the front, you have plenty of clearance. And it barely adds any weight or thickness to the clarinet. It's still very, very small and lightweight. And it's going to protect it and keep it nice looking for a long time. The battery of the clarinet is very, very good. I found that I was easily getting 7 to 8 hours of listening time, depending on how loud I was listening. If I was using high gain, if you listen at high volume and used high gain, or were driving harder to drive things, it would dip down somewhere 4 to 5 hour battery life. It wasn't the biggest of batteries. I believe it's an 1800 milliamp battery, but it does good as long as you are not demanding a whole lot of it. You'll get through a day's work of 8 hours, or roughly about 8 hours. The source pairing, or the gear that I was able to drive with it, I found that the Dethonray Clarinet was able to power any IEM that I threw at it. I had no issues whatsoever. Anything from super sensitive to harder to drive planars, it was able to drive them with ease, and I had no hissing or any distortions of any sort with the output impedance. The The clarinet did a very good job of controlling its output impedance, and I had no issues that way, and it drove everything with no problems. Barely had to go very far on the volume knob. Plus, you had the high-low gain switch if you needed it. Headphones. I found that the headphones, as long as they were roughly about 150 ohms or less dynamics, it drove it really easily. Some of the easier to drive planars were also okay. When you started getting into above 150 ohms or the harder to drive planars, the clarinet struggled some. I mean, it would get them loud, but you could definitely tell it wasn't really bringing out the full potential of them. This isn't a super powerful device, so if you're going to try to drive really hard to drive headphones, the clarinet might not be your best choice in that regard. But for just portable use, using an everyday carry, easy to drive type of headphone, no problems whatsoever. How does the Dethonray Clarinet sound? Well, the AKM AK4493S DAC chip inside it is a very competent DAC. And I found that the clarinet has a very neutral, natural, slightly warm type of sound signature with a little bit of a rounded, softer presentation so that it didn't go into fatigue mode. But also it didn't go into boring mode either. I found that it still had a lot of zip to it and that it had a lot of engagement and a lot of just nice presence and energy. The bass was nice and hard hitting. I found that the bass had a fullness about it and a powerful heaviness. There was some thumps to it and some whoomp to it. There was some and the sub bass extended nicely. Good texture throughout. And I found that the mid bass and the upper bass had good impact, punch, and slam. And overall, the bass has a very nice tonality about it, but also has good details and resolution and stays very well controlled. And it does have that ability to kind of take you by surprise and really hit home hard, but it does it when the track calls upon it. It doesn't do it all the time. It's like, there it is. And you kind of, oh, wow. And then it goes back to going through and just doing what it's supposed to. And then it'll take you kind of like surprise when it really hits. And then the the mids. The mids are nice, even, cohesively balanced. They have a nice natural tonality to them. They have a very nice organicness to them, nice warmth and a fullness about them. I found that the mids were very engaging and they had just this kind of just put you in the moment type of presentation. And yet at the same time, they had a nice amount of air and space. Nothing was fighting for position. It was very evenly balanced and cohesive, had nice separation and good air. And overall, the tonality, just like the bass, is very natural and very neutral sounding with a little bit of kiss of warmth. And it just has this pleasurable musicality regarding the mids. And I just found that everything sounded very natural when it came to instruments and vocalists. And it sounds very pleasing. And then going into the treble. The treble extends nicely. There's good air and space. Nice amount of energy with a good amount of sparkle and energy and a little bite and crispiness, but at the same time it has this little rounded softness to it, just enough to take those little peaks off that at times can be a little too much. I found that these have a little bit of a roundness to it that kind of makes it so it doesn't go into fatigue mode. And at times when there's a track that you know goes into fatigue mode, this softens it a little bit and makes it a little bit more musical. I found that the treble is very pleasing, has a nice natural tonality to it, just like the mids and the bass, and also is very nicely detailed and resolving. The soundstage of the Dethonray Clarinet is nice and wide. I was pleasantly surprised at how big some things can sound. It sounds very, very large. It'll go small, medium, large, and then kind of creep into that grand size. You'll get that bigger sound stage and things will really open up. I found that the stage had a lot going on. It was very immersive, but yet at the same time, it didn't sound like it was discombobulated and confused. Everything had its little place. It had its spots and you could follow things along the track. They did a very good job of placement and moving things from side to side. It was very precise and accurate. You could go, that's right there. That's right there. And you could track them. And then that's behind, that's in front, that's side by side, or they crisscross. You can follow things and dissect the stage very well. Also has nice depth and layering. Everything has its own little place. Everything is very precise and accurate, and it's a very defined, immersive soundstage. And then details and resolution. I found that the details that the Dethonray Clarinet brought out were very good for its price point. I was rather surprised at how much information I was getting. I was never lacking anything. Resolution-wise is also quite good, but it does have that little bit of a rounded, smoother side of things, so you do lose just a little bit of the bite and crisp and edginess every now and then. But for the most part, I found that it was a very detailed and resolving DAC amp. Tonality is also very good with its tone and timbre, sounding very natural and accurate. You can easily determine what instruments they are, and you can follow them through the tracks very easily. The Dethonray Clarinet. I like this. I like this a lot. It's a really, really good portable DAC amp. How does it compare to the already mentioned SMSL DS20? Now, we mentioned about the size and the weight. The SMSL DS20 is significantly heavier than the Clarinet. Similar size, other than the DS20 is slightly wider. The DS20 lacks a few things. You cannot charge it while using it. Also, it doesn't have as many inputs. It's only USB. But it does have a few different things like filters, and it's built a little different. You get that glass case on it. Sound-wise, though, is the most important thing. And I found that the DS20 has a little bit more neutral analytical lean. So the note weight isn't quite as thick and heavy as it is on the Clarinet. It is a little bit thinner, a little bit more light and airy sounding, and it extends slightly better into the treble, and there's a little bit more air, a little bit more of that edge, that bite, and that crispness with the DS20. Soundstage-wise is about as wide as it is on the Clarinet, and I find that it's a little bit more precise and accurate in its placement and with its layering and depth capabilities. Also, I find that the DS20 is slightly better when it comes to details and resolution. Tonality-wise, they're very similar. The only difference is that the note weight is slightly thinner on the DS20. The Clarinet has a little bit more fullness, a little bit more organic presentation. So it really comes down to what you prefer when it comes to these two. If you're looking for a very neutral, analytical presentation, I would go with the SMSL DS20. If you're looking for something that's a little bit more musical and a little bit more on the warmer side and a little bit softer and gentler on the ears when it comes to peaky treble, I would go with the Dethonray Clarinet. So the Dethonray Clarinet, this is amazing. I love this thing at its price point, and it does a really good job with battery life. It has plenty of power for all that I need, and at least in a portable sense. And when it comes to just size-wise and weight, it just disappears. It's not hard to transport, has a nice protective case, looks really cool. Love the purple knob. So yeah, I highly recommend the Dethonray Clarinet. It's been Dave, the Honest Audiophile. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video. Speaking of next video, somewhere on the screen, subscription links and notification bells. If you haven't already, please check those off. Don't forget to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down to the video. Check out all the links down below. There's all kinds of information on there regarding how you can contact channel, follow channel, support channel. Speaking of supporting channel, I want to thank my supporters through Patreon and YouTube memberships. Thank you very much for all that you give to the channel. It's much appreciated. If you're interested in supporting the channel, please check out the links down below. There's all kinds of ways that you can do it through one-time gifts and through PayPal and Venmo and Patreon and YouTube memberships, all that kind of stuff. So check out those links down below. And also down below, there's all kinds of other information like gear recommendations, music recommendations, and gear rankings, all kinds of other things. So check out the links down below. And lastly, don't forget to enjoy the music and that honesty is the best policy.